What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer. Today I'm revisiting Marvel Rivals. Going into my second weekend playing the game, and I've gotten really into competitive matches. More like ranked, but I don't know if I would call them competitive. For a while, I was floating around like 500, stuck in bronze, which was really frustrating. For like half of the matches I was in, there were teammates who were just griefing the game. It's not to say that I was some sort of pro gamer playing with scrubs, but just couldn't find that consistency to build my way up into the higher ranks. Today I want to highlight the character that solo carried me to gold 3 in just one day. Magneto, I personally believe, is the best character to grind through bronze and silver for a number of reasons. First being that you will run into almost no one who insta-locks Magneto in lower ranks, which is actually kind of insane considering he's probably the second or third best tank in the game. Almost everyone you team up with wants to insta-lock DPS and chase after the MVP. Literally any team composition that starts with Magneto is going to start you off on the right foot. Magneto, I think, is one of the few characters in the game that is extremely adaptive. I actually think he is more of a support character than anything. Being able to give your teammates a bubble that makes them unable to take damage is one of the most powerful abilities in the game. It saves them from ults, it enables divers, it protects your healers from divers. Personally, I think Magneto is at his best when he gets to run with another tank, especially Groot. Being able to bubble Groot while he becomes hyper aggressive and walls off tanks makes you almost unstoppable in these lower ranks. The only time he is not effective is when the other team is running two like in your face tanks like the Thing and Hulk. In that case, I suggest pivoting to someone like the Thing to be able to absorb some of that frontline damage a bit better and hold that space. You almost never run into that kind of comp though. I did one time out of 20 games, and I won as soon as I switched to the Thing. The tank role is not the flashiest outside of someone like Doctor Strange, so it's not popular. Being able to pick him almost every single game provides you not only consistency versus someone like Bucky, who is super popular, but more importantly helps you set the tempo of your team. The one unspoken rule of the game is to generally not push ahead of your tanks, unless you're a diver. Literally keeping your team organized is enough to put you on a good winning streak alone. With Magneto, you constantly want to be pushing your mouse wheel into signal flying characters, or flankers, or weak healers. Just typing, hey, let's make a team push, can be the difference of winning 5 games in a row and closer to being at the 500 mark. As a tank, you are basically the point guard of the team. One thing I recognized as I was winning more is that every game I won, I was probably the 4th best player at best, but playing a character like Magneto enables the best players on your team to shine. Bubbling a Hela who is rounding the corner just cooks people. You also need to be sure to keep a watchful eye on your healers, encourage them to mark divers so you can bubble them. You can very easily double team a diver with a heal and get a free kill or force them to retreat. Letting your teammates be the best version of themselves can tip the battle in your favor. I want to spend the rest of the video talking a little bit more about my experience playing Magneto and the tips to hand out to new people trying to pick him up. This isn't going to be an advanced guide by any stretch of the imagination, but there are certainly things I can say to help get you started. The first thing is that this character ceiling is completely defined by a skill ceiling. What I mean to say is that he is one of the harder characters to master when it comes to shooting. There's a slow rhythm to his shooting, and it can throw you off a bit because he shoots from both hands, so it doesn't feel as smooth as a character with a gun. You have to lead your shots quite a bit, and it's only made more difficult because the secondary shoots almost instantly and it's not at the same pace as his primary. He does have a decent melee attack, surprisingly, but it's not like a Doctor Strange where you can animation cancel to shoot quicker. The cool thing about Magneto is, and the reason I recommend choosing him, so you don't even have to be the best at aiming in the beginning because your character demands so much space. Just playing the role of a pseudo frontline tank and dictating the tempo of the game is enough to win you them. The reason I'm not the biggest fan of solo tanking with him is that you preferably want to play behind cover. He isn't someone to go into the open too often. You don't want to be a sponge for your healers like other tanks do. To get back to aiming, you can see the difference in a game-by-game basis the effect of accurate shooting does. Basically warps the entire game around dealing with you. In the best case scenario, you want to focus most of your attention on the backlines, especially healers. You'll see that even landing 2 hits on them can change everything. They're forced to fall back, which leaves less healing on the tanks. If your team is aggressive enough, they will kill him or force them to run away. Other tanks like the Thing can't necessarily do that as often because there's a chance to get melted if you push too far up. It's obviously different for Magneto because you're shooting projectiles. The last thing I'll talk about is using his ultimate. While on the surface, it's one of the easiest ults to use, there is a lot of nuance to it. To instantly kill, you have to land it quite spot on, if not directly on their dome, so keep that in mind. That changes if someone is using their ult, like the Punisher, because you get a massive damage boost to the meatball. For the most part, though, you don't really want to land it in the middle of a crowd. Getting a guaranteed kill is the best thing you can do with it. Of course, that means the best case scenario is dunking it on a healer, but that's not always the easiest thing to do. The ult takes a long time to get max value out of it. You almost want to start the animation as we are rounding a corner, so the other team doesn't have the best chance to react. Top Magneto players will use this ult to stop Luna Snow because it can kill through her ult. In my experience though, you really can't miss by an inch, and I have wasted too many trying to use it in this ideal situation. If you want my advice in these lower ranks, just go for a guaranteed kill. Even if you are taking out a Bucky or whatever DPS, tipping the battle to a 5v6 situation is going to help you win that team fight 9 out of 10 times in bronze and silver. The only other thing I will say is use all that charge time to your advantage. You don't have to telegraph who you're targeting. Doing a fake out is really effective when you suddenly change who you're throwing it at in the last second. The other person just won't have enough time to react. If nothing else, this ultimate is a space eater. The other team scurries off in every which direction, which can cause a lot of displacement that your team can take advantage of. Well, that's about it for my #1 recommended character to use if you want to start climbing the rank ladder. What do you guys think about my pick? Who else can carry you to gold and beyond? Let me know in the comment section down below.